Hi guys, Jordan from B&B Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this Hymer B564. So being the B series, it is quite a short vehicle, as you can see, but still on the A-class sort of body. So you've got a Fiat Ducato chassis underneath, and so what I'll do is I'll run you through under the bonnet, and then we'll walk all the way around the vehicle showing you all the bits and pieces on the outside, and then I'll jump inside and show you what we've got going on inside. So, under the bonnet, we've got your engine battery over on the left-hand side here with the various connections going to it, all going to be to do with the radio or split charging things from the leisure battery. We've then got your power steering fluid here, brake fluid just up there at the back attached to the servo. Engine oil goes in through this cap at the top, and your engine oil dipstick is this little red one here at the front. Over towards the right, we've got your engine coolant in the reservoir at the top there. Your air filter sits inside this unit down here, and your washer fluid is topped up through this over here on the right. So that's about it for under the bonnet. So we've got front door on here. There isn't much to show you inside here apart from you've got your chassis plates down here. It's all been really nicely kept, this van, so it's all in nice condition right the way throughout, even down to the upholstery. Looking really, really nice. So you have got, because it's a Hymer and it's got the A-class body, you have got some lower opening lockers that are sort of wet lockers, so you can kind of put whatever you want in those without worrying too much about, you know, getting anything damp or anything like that. Next thing we come to is your external, your water filling point. This is your freshwater filling point. Now you've got the option here next door to that, you've got a 2-pin socket. The reason for that is if you wanted to fill the fresh tank up with an external pump, you've got a 2-pin socket there for your 12-volt power for the pump. So you can get what's called a rollaway tank, which is what you'll find next to caravans a lot of the time because they don't have onboard tanks. So you can get a rollaway tank full of water, drop your 12-volt powered pump into the water, and then have it pump itself into your tank through there. Or if you've just got a normal sort of watering can or a hose, you can plug it straight into there once it's taken the cap off. So, next locker is your toilet cassette locker. So to remove the actual toilet cassette itself, you lift up on the little yellow tab down here, and then pull the cassette towards you. Once you've got it to this position here, you'll then be able to take it all the way out, like so. And then that's where you would sort of take it off to wherever you're going to drain it out from. To actually drain it out, twist this open and take this cap off just here. That's where it actually drains out from. When you're actually draining it out, you should hold down this little yellow button here at the back. And once you've finished draining it out, you put a cap's worth of blue fluid back inside the cassette, give it a little swoosh around, and then push it all the way back in. Make sure that you push it all the way back in far enough so that that little yellow tab clicks over like so. You've got another lower locker down here, another wet locker for additional storage. All the windows are in nice condition. There's no big nasty cracks or, you know, breaks in them. Nice and big windows, so you've got lots of natural light coming in as well. So the back of the van, we've got another big window there, 2-bike rack, and your electric hookup point here as well. Oh no, you don't. Sorry, ignore that completely. That is an external aerial point. Completely ignore me on that one. It looked like a hookup point. That's why I said it. So we've then got this really, really nice tool locker at the back. So this locker is really, really good for, you know, nice deep storage in there. You've got a light inside here so you can see what you're doing. But the storage goes right the way up to the top. So you've got loads and loads of storage in there. Another wet locker underneath just here as well. And your awning winder is this one just here inside this locker. So this is your electric hookup point. so you have to ignore me on that. But this is your electric hookup point. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, it's really handy to have that plugged in. It basically means that you don't have to worry about your leisure battery's voltage. You can just sort of do whatever you want inside the van, and you don't have to worry about, you know, the leisure battery going flat. So that is a really nice sort of thing to have. It also means that any of your mains powered appliances will come to life, and your battery charger will be on as well. So it's really nice to have that plugged in if you can, but if not, obviously the motorhomes are made in order to work without them, so it's perfectly fine if you don't. But it can help every now and again to have it plugged in just to get everything charged back up. So under here we've got your wastewater drain off point. So that's the actual drain itself, and the handle for it is this one up here. So turning it up or down is on and off. This little circle thing here is the vent for your boiler. So if you have got the boiler lit up on gas, you'll feel hot air pumping out through the bottom of this vent, and that'll basically just tell you that it's definitely working. Same sort of idea for the fridge. So these two vents just here are both to do with your fridge. If you've got the fridge on gas, you should feel warm air coming out through the top of this little vent just here. So you can put your hand over that, and just, you know, if you can definitely feel hot air coming out through that, then it's definitely working, because that's the sort of exhaust for the fridge. Right, same goes for this window on the other side. Really nice condition, nothing nasty about it at all. External gas point. So this is your external barbecue point basically. So as long as you've got the gas switched on in the locker, you will have gas coming through this when you turn this valve on. The reason they put it on this side is because you have got the Hymer F45 wind out awning all the way across the top there as well. So essentially you would have the awning wound out, you'd have your awning light on, you can have your barbecue plugged into that external point just there, and so, you know, that's the sort of idea behind having it there. So the last locker we get to is your gas locker. Shut that for now. And we've got twin gas flow bottles in here. So these are your refillable gas bottles. So the refillable side of things all works from this little point just here. So that is your standard UK socket just there for the gas flow. So that is literally just a case of plugging in with the bayonet style fitting in the UK. If you are going to go abroad, you will need the adapters depending on what country you're going to go to. But yeah, that's about it really. Nice and easy. Other than that, inside here, sorry about the fire engine going past. So the actual gas bottles themselves, haven't really got much to show you on those, apart from the fact that to turn them on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn them off, you go all the way down clockwise to the right. You need to do that every time you start driving, so you need to make sure your gas bottles are off. Other than that, the regulator up here, you haven't got to do anything with that. That's all just for our testing purposes. And that's it really. So, I have got the gas on at the moment, just so I can show you a few bits working inside. And so let's just jump into that. So layout wise, this is a bit of an unusual layout really. I mean, we don't often see these anymore. It does tend to be on these sort of more classic Hymers and things like that. But I actually think there's a really, really clever use of space. You get some of the best storage that I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, this entire door at the back just here on the left, it's all storage. So if you look in there, I mean, that is one of the biggest wardrobes you'll ever see in a motorhome. And then you've also got the external locker on the other side of this as well. So absolutely stacks of storage there. So this area just here will turn into a bed if you want it to. You can make it into a small bed. You can either leave it as a single or drop the table down on, you know, all sorts of stuff like that to make it into a bed. But the main bed really is going to be the one up here over the cab, which, if you have the seats pulled out of the way, does pull all the way down into a really nice big double bed. So you can see just how easy that is to put back away. Make sure that you put that seat belt back in, purely just so that it doesn't move around too much when you're driving. In the cab, So these cabs are particularly sort of easy and straightforward. Just move this seat back a little bit, if I can find the right one. There you go. So with these cabs, as I say, they are pretty straightforward, to be fair. So what you've got is you've got your 5-speed manual gearbox just from here. You've got your hazard warning lights, all of your heater controls, but you have got the optional air conditioning switch there as well. You've got your nice little radio down there. Nothing too technical with that one. So the only thing that's a bit unusual with these ones is the indicator and lights situation. So the indicators are this little front stalk here. Okay, so this little front stalk is just for the indicators. It doesn't do anything else. It literally just goes up and down for your indicators. The one at the back is to do with flashing the headlights and turning the lights like the main beam on and off. So the majority of the time you're going to want to leave this as it is now, in the position where it is now, and just use it as a flash. All right, this one for your indicators, this one for your flash. Washers and wipers are as normal on the right hand side over here, and you've got your main lights on and off dial down here. You've got your headlight tilt over here, front and rear fog lamps, and then I think that's about it really. So that's about it for the cab really. I don't think there's much else to run through. As I say, all of the upholstery is looking really nice in here. I mean, I'll be honest, on a sort of vehicle of this sort of age, normally the first thing that would start going would be the upholstery. And that would be your sort of first sign of maybe it being a little bit worn. But the upholstery is absolutely fantastic. That's what I'm saying about that. It's so good. All the floors in good condition. That's the original floor. They pretty much all came with that same sort of style of floor. So very impressed with the condition of this van. Even down to even smaller things like this, like the cooker. I mean, it doesn't even look like it's been used, to be honest with you. But there you go. Right, so first things first, you've got the control panel up here above the door. So the control panel on these Hymers are unbelievably easy. So you've got a main power switch over on the right hand side. So if I press down on this, it turns all of our 12-volt power off. So that is basically your leisure battery isolator. So turn this on when you want to have power on. The one in the middle is a little light which should normally tell you if the hookup's plugged in, but I'm not convinced that that's really working because the hookup is plugged in. Just have a little look in there. Not sure where. I'll have a little look at that in a minute. I didn't do the hab check on this one, to be honest, so I'm not sure. But I will have a little look in a minute to see if that is definitely on and why that light isn't coming on. But that is normally your one to tell you that the hookup is plugged in. It may well be that it's not actually turned on. Not sure. In fact, just give me 1 second. I'm pretty sure I've just seen that that isn't plugged in. It turned on. There we go. Right. That'll probably help, won't it? So, let's see if we've got a little yellow light now. There we go. Right, so we've got a little yellow light there now. And so that is going to be your kind of indicator there telling you what's, you know, whether your hookup's plugged in or not, and whether it's definitely working or not. So, you know, that's the thing with motorhoming and caravanning and that, is that, you know, there's always going to be something little, even for me, like, you know, I do this day in, day out, but just making sure that the switch is turned on, that's going to be the sort of simple stuff that you're going to find that you might forget every now and again. So making sure that your hookup cable's plugged in. If it's working, it'll be showing you a yellow light like that. If it's not working, it will be off. The next button here is your external light. So this is your awning light switch. So when you turn that one on, the awning light outside will come on. So staying on this side for a second, you can see, I mean, I don't speak German, but that says Strom there, which I don't know the exact translation of that, but essentially what this thing over here does is it's an amp meter. All right, so it basically tells you how much power is being drawn or put into the leisure battery at any one time. So if it's in the green, it means that you've got more power going into the leisure battery than you do coming out of it. So because we're hooked up on the mains, we are slightly into the green because the hookup is charging the battery. If I went ahead and turned absolutely every single light and bit of power on inside this van, it would eventually start dropping back and going into the red. Okay, so that is the idea behind that. If I went and turned the hookup off now, basically that would then go down into the red. Okay, so that is all that is. If you find that the meter starts going way down into the red, then you've got something that's drawing a bit too much power from the leisure battery, and you should probably think about either plugging in on the mains or turning that particular thing off. To the left of that, all of this stuff over here is all to do with your level indicators. So we've got the fresh and waste water level. So pressing up is for the fresh, down is for the waste, and we'll be looking at this bottom blue scale here. Now that is completely empty on both tanks, so that's why it's showing empty. We've then got your engine battery voltage and leisure battery voltage, and we're looking at the top scale for that one. So when I press on the engine battery one, showing 13.5 volts in that, and 14 and a bit volts in the leisure battery. So that is a really good charging voltage for both of those batteries. So that is the control panel. There's nothing else to it. Really simple. The alarm light just there, in case you were wondering, is if your leisure battery starts going really flat, it will start sort of letting you know, and then that's when you would hook the van up on the mains and get it charging up. So to the right of all that, we've got your 3-burner hob. So to light this up, it's just like a household cooker. You've got an ignition switch for it all here, and then you literally just push in and round to light whichever one up that you want to light up. So only thing I will say on this, because this is all really self-explanatory stuff, for obvious reasons, please don't put the lid down on a flame. It will explode and crack immediately. But also, what a lot of people don't think about is, if you've been using this cooker for sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, however long to actually cook with, this whole area is going to be very hot. So what a lot of people will do is they'll use this for however long. I mean, me doing that just then for a few seconds is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you've used this for half an hour or so to cook with. When you turn this gas flame off, if you put the lid straight down like that, straight after turning that off, after using it for a long time, this glass lid will shatter. It will just explode, okay? So please just allow this to cool down, at least for a little bit, before you put the glass lid down. It's not the end of the world if it does shatter, because we can normally get these made up, but it's not ideal because it makes a hell of a mess and a hell of a noise. So try to allow that to cool down before you close the lid. Underneath that, we've got, again, more storage all the way down to the bottom. We've then got your sink. So the sink is actually a little bit more important than you might think. So, I mean, it's as simple as use the tap. But when it comes to the water sort of system itself, it is quite important to understand how it all works. So, because you've got a onboard tank in here and you haven't got kind of constant fresh water coming in from the outside like you do at home, you do have to, first of all, you have to make sure that you kind of allow for that a little bit, if you like. So make sure that you keep on track of what your water level's doing up there, so that you don't run out when you don't want to run out. But also, because you've got a boiler in the vehicle, it's really important to understand how that works and how it fills itself up and all that sort of stuff. So basically, with the boiler itself, the boiler is on the hot side of the van's water system, And the cold side of the van's water system is literally just, you know, from tank straight to the tap. So the cold side is tank straight to tap, and the hot side is tank, boiler, then tap. So if you turn the hot water on the tap there and you don't get any water coming through, it's because the boiler isn't quite full yet. And so you need to make sure that you allow the boiler to fill itself right up before you start trying to use it. So that's really important, to make sure that you allow the boiler to be full before you start trying to use it for whatever you want to use it for. So to do that, to make sure that you know that the boiler is definitely full, it is quite literally just a case of making sure that you've got water coming through on the hot side of the tap. So if you draw the water through on the tap there and it's coming through really nice and clear on the hot side, you know, you can know for a fact that the boiler is definitely full. Other thing to mention is that, I'll just close this door behind me a sec. The boiler itself sits down here in the bottom of the wardrobe, and you have got down to the left, you have got this little thing here, which is your boiler drain off point. You've also got two little valves to the left of that boiler drain, which I will explain in just a minute. So the actual boiler drain itself, the little red thing here, is essentially a automatic drain off valve. So if the temperature inside this vehicle gets down below about 3 degrees, this will drain itself out by pushing itself down. So you can see on the actual unit there, it says close is up and open is down. So at the moment, I can't put it up any further than it is now. So that means that we're in the closed position and the water will drain itself. The water will stay inside the boiler if I want it to. Now, if I want to drain the water out, I will have to take this little clip off and then push the drain down. And that will drain all the water out from inside the boiler. The two valves to the left of it are basically just tap drains. So if you want to drain all of the water out of the system in the entire vehicle, open those two valves up there. So essentially, if you're going to winterize the van, push this valve down here for the boiler, open these two valves up, open your waste valve up on the outside, and that'll be all of your water drains open. And the reason that we make sure that you know about that and make sure that you know how to drain it all out is because if you don't open those things up and drain everything off and it freezes, basically you're going to have leaks coming from places that you know, just from everywhere. If water stays in a pipe and freezes, it will just break it because it expands as it freezes. So it's really important to drain these things out before winter. Once you drain them out, once you've got those things opened up, you haven't got to worry about it, it's fine. But other than that, it is pretty important to do that. So the actual boiler itself has got its own little unit, which is this one just here. So you've got, very, very simple, you've got on the right hand side is what sort of tells the boiler what to do. So where it is in the middle here is in the off position, and the boiler is not going to do anything at all. If I go down once, we've got hot water. And if I go up once, we've got heating and hot water at the same time. So on the left, we've got 40 and 60. That is your two hot water temperatures. So you can just literally select 40 or 60 on there. And then in the middle here, we've got your temperature dial for the heating. So essentially, if you want the heating to be hot, just turn the number up. Turn it down if you don't. If you turn the dial down to, say, for whatever the number is, if we turn it up to, say, like 16 or whatever, what it will do is it will get to 16 degrees, turn itself off, turn itself on when it needs to, just like a household heating system, but it works from blown air instead. So you can set a temperature and just leave it at that if you want to. But there you go. So that is how you use the Truma boiler. Very, very simple. So up above here, we have got a nice, clever Hymer unit. So we can pull this out. It then comes down and closes over. So this is your TV unit basically. So if you wanted to have a telly on that, you can do. Below the TV unit, we have got your, there you go, your fridge. So the fridge itself is a, I think it's an Electrolux fridge, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So you've got three options on here. This is what you would call a three-way fridge. So you've got a little switch on the very left-hand side here, the red one, which is your 12 volt, and that's for when your engine's running. The green one just here, which is for when your electric hookup is plugged in, which is lit up so you can see that it definitely is working. This little gauge just here is literally your temperature selector for the mains, so just turn that up and down wherever you need it. The way to find out whether it's too hot or too cold is by looking in the freezer compartment, which is this little bit at the top, and that'll basically just tell you if it's too hot or too cold. Over towards the right, all of this stuff over here is all to do with the gas. So at the moment, I've got it lit up on gas. I'm just going to switch it off for a sec so I can show you it lighting up. So to light the fridge up on gas, literally all you need to do is turn the ignition switch on, and you'll see that it will start flashing like that, and that's just literally telling you that the spark is going on. And what I then need to do is basically push this valve in and round to the left. You'll notice when I do that, this ignition will stop flashing, and that's because the flame is now on. All the time that the flame is on, the ignition will switch itself off. So I recommend to leave the ignition switch turned on like it is now when the flame is on. Reason being, if for whatever reason the flame gets blown out at the back of the van, you will straight away know that it's gone out because it will start flashing at you, telling you that there's no flame there. So that's just something that I recommend doing. Now the fridge itself will take a good 3 or 4 hours to get completely cold on gas or mains. So the gas and the mains are the only two ways that will get this fridge cold. The 12 volt, the red switch there, is literally just for keeping the temperature inside the fridge whilst you're driving. So that is literally all that one is there for. You need to make sure that you switch over to 12 volt when you drive. It will keep the temperature inside the fridge, but when you get to where you're going, you need to switch back to one of the other two, either the mains or the gas. Other than that, very straightforward, nice and easy. So the bathroom is the last bit to show you. In the bathroom itself, the only bit that I tend to run through is the toilet, because the rest of it is literally just taps, you know, hot and cold. There's nothing to it. Apart from the fact that in the bathroom here, you've got a little red switch here, which is to turn the water pump on. So instead of having a micro switch tap here, you've just got a button here to turn the tap on. So the toilet, even though it's super easy to use, I always just run through these so that you do know. You've got a blue button up here at the top, which will pump around your flush fluid if you've got water in the fresh tank. And a little grey handle here at the bottom, which will drain whatever's inside the bowl here into the cassette. So if I pull this to the right, it'll open up the lip inside here and drain whatever's inside here into the cassette. Once it's finished draining out, you pull it back, and that's it. That's how you use it. It really is as easy as that. Light switch is this one here, and then we can lock that door up. So I think I've covered everything. I don't think there's much that I've missed out, or anything that I've missed out. If there's anything you want me to go over again, or anything you do think I've missed out, just give us a shout. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.